I wasn't really vibing with it too much. I don't know. Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell. I read a lot of E. Schwab. We have my absolute favorite. Like, I can't even tell you how much I love this story. Hi. Got this sweater yesterday and I love it so much. It's so funky. It has like Nightmare Before Christmas vibes. So today we are going to be talking about all of the books that I read in September. My reading in September was really mixed, but I loved the mix of everything. First book that I read and completed in September was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I buddy read this with Brittany and I love this even more the second time around. V.E. Schwab is one of my favorite authors. So this book is about our main character, Addie LaRue, as the title says, and she is not happy with the life that she is living, and so she does something that she has always been told to never do, praying to the gods who answer after dark. Basically about this girl who is immortal, the price that comes with being immortal and living forever. Everybody forgets her till one day she runs into somebody at a bookstore who magically remembers her. It's fantastic. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It's kind of like a slow story and it's more character driven than plot driven. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend you do. Next up we have Olympus. I had previously read what was in the first volume on Webtoon and I don't know how I feel about it. I remember really loving it when I read it on Webtoon. This reread, I wasn't really vibing with it too much. I don't know. It's about Persephone in Hades. I don't really know how else to describe it. I really don't know too much about Greek mythology. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think I'm going to be continuing it. Next up, we have yet another reread, and that is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I love this book. I started reading this back in February and I didn't pick it up again until September, and I finished it all in one sitting. I don't even remember why I put it down in February, but then I remembered about it and I was like, I should finish that. So I finished it. I loved it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. There were some parts that kind of dragged on, and I feel like if I hadn't previously read this, it would have been like a 3 out of 5 stars for me. Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell, I love them together so much. They're perfection. Nothing is on par with Thomas Cresswell and Audrey Rose. They just made this book even more amazing and I can't wait to continue my read through. So this book is set in the 1800s following our main character, Audrey Rose Wadsworth, and she is doing the unthinkable, and she is a mortuary assistant, which is very frowned upon in this society. Women doing autopsies and like cutting open dead bodies. What a shame. And while she is doing all of this, Jack the Ripper is on the prowl and murdering everybody, and she is trying to help solve the mystery to figure out who is doing these murders and why exactly they're doing it. It was just a silly goofy time. Next up, we have 2 more V.E. Schwab books. I read a lot of V.E. Schwab. We have Tunnel of Bones and Bridge of Souls. I read these for a weekend reading vlog and I loved these so much. I gave both of them 5 out of 5 stars. The whole time I was reading it though, I was shook that they were actually middle grade books because they were so scary and I was getting creeped out as an adult. So I can't even imagine how scared I would be if I read these when I was a target age group. But I loved those books so much. V.E. Schwab is amazing. The way that Bridge of Souls ended kind of left it open-ended for if she potentially wanted to make more books in the Cassidy Blake world. At least that's what it felt like to me. Cassidy Blake series is about our main character, Cassidy Blake, who was living a normal life until she had a near-death experience and now she's being haunted by a ghost. But it's not a bad haunting, it is a good haunting because he becomes her best friend, and her parents have a ghost hunting TV show called The Inspectors, and the first book takes place in Scotland where she is met with a creepy spirit, and it's really fun. It's a fun time, it's great, it's spooky. Next up we have a manga that I also reread, and that is Spy Family Volume 2. I read all the way up to volumes 4 or 5 I think, which I have no recollection of reading that far into the series. I want to continue it, but I didn't want to start from volume 1, so I decided to just pick it up from volume 2, and I had a great time with this. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I just love this series so much. It's so fun and quirky, and like I love all the characters. Anya, she's perfect. She's a perfect little angel. Like, just look at her. She's the cutest ever. This series is following this spy. He goes by Twilight and he is on this mission where he has to basically form a fake family. But what he doesn't know is that Anya is a telepath, so she can read people's mind, and his wife is actually an assassin. So like their family is wacky and he's just trying to get his mission done, and he's trying not to form attachments, but you know, I can see him like getting attached because I already am. And then we have the last V.E. Schwab book that I read in September, and that is The Near Witch. I give this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a solid book. I didn't enjoy it too much, but it also wasn't like not enjoyable for me. It was just kind of in the middle. This was written in 2011, so it shows this was V.E. Schwab's first novel that she ever published, so her writing has definitely grown a lot from this novel, which it was crazy to read like Addie LaRue, then going to this one to like see how much her writing has changed. You could still see like little remnants and like foreshadowing of like what her writing is going to become. I liked it. It was just not my favorite. So this is about Lexi. She lives in this place called Near. It's just your typical cozy average village, but then suddenly a bunch of kids go missing and she remembers these stories that her father used to tell her about the Near Witch, and she is trying to figure out why everyone is going missing. She's trying to prevent her little sister from joining them. She's basically just telling all of the men in the town to go away and that she has everything handled. And then next up, we have my absolute favorite. I have a reading vlog all about this if you would like to check it out, and it was my absolute favorite. Like, I love this book so much. It gave me life. It's a masterpiece, and that is none other than The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I love this book. I could talk about it infinitely. It was such a good time. I want to reread it. I need to read the second book immediately. I obviously gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I would give it a million if I could. It's just so good. I loved absolutely everything about it. Perfection. There's so much magic. I love it so much that I can't even put it fully into words. And it is about our main character, Vivi, who is a witch. And she meets this other witch named Reese, and they form a relationship, and things are going well until he reveals that he is already betrothed to somebody else back in Wales. Vivi, not knowing that, she freaks out, and yeah, so Reese goes back to Wales. She gets really drunk, and her cousin decide that they are going to just be a little silly, just be a little goofy, and do like a fake little curse. And then 9 years later, it turns out it wasn't a silly goofy curse. It was a real life curse that was gonna make everything go wacky. And so they have to work again to try to figure out how to fix everything, and it was just so great. I've never read a book before where the main character and the love interest have already had like a previous relationship. So that was really fun, and I just loved the dynamic between the two, and obviously the magic in the story, my favorite. If you haven't read it yet, October is the perfect month to do it. That's when the story takes place, and it's magical. I love it. And I don't really know how many books in this series that I read this month, but I finished Demon Slayer in the month of September. I adore this series. Like, I can't even tell you how much I love this story. It hurt me so much to finish the series. Like, I was absolutely and utterly heartbroken, and I'm so sad that it's over, but this was literally such a good experience, and this series is actually what got me back into reading fully, so I'm so grateful for it for that, and it just brought so much comfort in a time where I was really struggling. I have formed an emotional attachment to the story. I gave the series as a whole a 5 out of 5 stars. It's amazing. So this series is about Tanjiro. He makes a living by selling charcoal, and he goes down the mountain to sell some more, and he comes back to his house. Comes home to find his entire family slaughtered. He comes to realize that it was a demon who did it, and the only survivor of the family is his little sister Nezuko, who has become a demon herself. So he is trying to navigate the loss of his family, as well as trying to take care of his sister and do whatever he can to get her back to be a human. And it's just so good. There's so many like good elements in this story. The friendships, I love them so much. Like, all of the characters are so well done and really fleshed out, and it's very good. So that is all that I read in the month of September. It was a very vast reading month. I read a lot of different genres, and I had the best time doing so, and that will be all for this video. Let me know what you guys read this month and what your favorite one was. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it to this point of the video, I love you so much. Comment down below a green heart. All of my socials will be linked in the description: my Twitter, my Goodreads, my Instagram, and my Twitch. And yeah, I'm so excited for October. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!